Guys, it's Dr. Drake 63, and we're going to do a 1911 comparison, a couple of Colts. This one you're looking here right now belongs to a friend of mine, and this is a 1997 Model Series 80. It's the government model with the Series 80. We'll show you what that means in particular as we look under the hood here in a minute. We're going to compare that to a firearm which was manufactured 50 years earlier, 1947. You might have seen this on my channel recently. So we'll do those comparisons and also talk about a 2017 Colt Series 80 that I've reviewed and had in my collection for a while. Colt's really good on their website. If you're able to punch in the serial number, they'll tell you what model and what year you have, going back quite a ways, obviously. So we're going to refer to the one on the right as the 47, 1947. The one on the left, that Series 80, we're just going to call that the 97 for simplicity. And looking right away, these are the parts taken apart, laid side by side, and at first glance, you won't notice a lot of differences. But we're going to talk about how some of these parts have changed over time and what some of the specific differences are when you get into these later series. Here we're looking at the barrel link and the barrel from the 47. And if you were to switch these, it would be virtually impossible, at least for me, to tell the difference. They are machined the same way, they are designed and made the same way, and I suspect these parts are absolutely interchangeable. But just taking a look at this, same level of machining, the whole 9 yards. Looking down the barrel now of the 47, the rifling looks really good. It's something I picked up, so I don't know the round count. Looking down the barrel now of the 97, I don't know the round count on that either because it's a used firearm, but similar type of condition on the inside of the barrel. Now we're going to look at some additional parts. Here's the spring guide pin. The one on the right from the 47 has that strange kind of nipple on it, and you see we're hollow here with the 97 on the left. So I suspect right there you've got some weight savings just by the redesign of that part somewhere along the line. Looking at the takedown pin now on the left here, we're looking at the 97, and that particular part, if you look at it, you can tell it's a machined forged part, as it was also in the case of the 47, obviously. And real subtle difference here we'll be highlighting in a second between these two. If you look at the one on the left, that's the newer one. It's got a part that was machined out, some additional machining done to that. And here we're looking at the spring retainers, and virtually no difference whatsoever. A little bit more wear on the older one. That's about the only thing I notice. And as we come up and look at the slides, there are some differences, but not on this end of them. The bushing is going to be the exact same piece. Those would be 100% interchangeable as well. Taller sight system here on the 47, and we've discussed that's had some sights that were put on in place of the GI sights. I'd like to put the GI sights back on them, but I'd have to have the right ones, and they'd have to be blued, and I'm okay as they are. Now, taking a look at the slides here on the left, you're going to notice kind of a beveled piece right here on the back of the slide that you don't see on the 47. So that's just kind of straight, and this one here is beveled at the back of that ejection well. So kind of interesting, something that was just obviously developed over time for one reason or the other in terms of aiding with cycling of the gun, perhaps. Taking a look at these two slides, obviously Parkerized versus blued. And you're going to see the difference between the stock sight, GI sight as it's called, and adjustable sight that was installed on the 47. The difference in the roll marks, and one of the things, if you look at the front of the slide, I'm going to point out to you this curve right here just comes straight up in a gentle curve, where the curve on the front of the slide on the Series 80 is more like an S shape. So not sure why that was done. And as we look from the top now, the 97's on top. That's a Series 80, and you see that's the drop safety, that extra whole piece that's in there. Didn't exist on the pre 70s, obviously. So that's kind of a subtle difference. Also, if you look at the frame, there's a cutaway versus just a gap where that takedown pin goes. That's something that was obviously changed over the years. So looking at the back now of the slides, looking at the triggers, pretty similar. I mean, some slight differences in terms of the shape of the triggers. Not too terribly different, but there you go. And then also looking at the safety, you'll notice that on the 97, it's a much bigger shoulder or shelf, I should say, that you can get your thumb under. A lot smaller you'll see on the 47. So some of the ergonomic developments that have happened over time. And then, of course, you have the arched mainspring housing that was common on this particular model. The Series 80 government has the straight spring housing. And that was also the case with the original 1911 design, I believe. Somebody scratched the heck out of that during takedown, by the way. That's kind of a shame. But here you see, once again, just the differences. You've got a blued slide versus a perforated slide. And talking a little bit, again, about this 2017 government model, not super impressed with the way that roll mark stamping, however you want to call it, looks. Just a comment. Now we're going to talk about the weight, and here you see 2 pounds, 12.5 ounces with a loaded magazine versus 2 pounds, 10.7 ounces. That's a difference of about 2 ounces between the older and the newer. And just for comparisons with that 2017, we weighed that at 2 pounds, 11.25 ounces. So it kind of split the difference. Onto the range now, and we're going to take our shots first with the 97 Series 80. And guess what, guys? It shoots like a 1911. Unlike the 2017 model that I had, which I could never get to properly hold open regardless of magazines, this works fine. Here's the 1947, which functions perfectly. And I mentioned I do like the trigger on this one a little bit better. Obviously, with taller sights, it's a little bit better to acquire the target as well. So looking now at the results on the left here from the 1997, yeah, you've got kind of set up to the left is what I'm seeing, whereas here we've got a more centered firearm going on in terms of our sights, and I like that. Coming back, a little bit of better shooting going on, more centered, but they basically shoot the same in terms of accuracy. I just think you've got an obvious advantage when you've got the taller adjustable sights versus those GI sights like you see here on the 1997 model. And I think that's going to have something to do with how you're going to perform, no matter who you are. Especially you get a little bit older and eyes can be more of a challenge. And so that becomes an issue. So I think when we talk about a fair apples-to-apples comparison, yeah, it would have made more sense for me to be in a situation where we had the exact same sights on both. But this is what we had to work with, and I thought they both performed well. Of course, I always want to see how we do with fast shooting, and they both functioned and performed very well in that role, which you need to get those rounds off quick. You want to make sure they can. Colt 1911 designs have changed over the years. Certainly when you get into your Series 80 and all those kind of things, the so-called 1991 design, yeah, you've got some different things such as drop features and safeties against that and things like that. But the basic design, the slide, the trigger, all that kind of stuff, with some minor adjustments over the years, is pretty much the same thing. So my expectation is that these two firearms are going to shoot pretty similarly, and they pretty much do. I found the biggest difference to be the sights. The 1947 government model had a taller rear and front sight installed. It's not typical GI, and so I'd give that a little bit of an advantage, yet I found that I shot both firearms pretty much the same. So I found that kind of interesting. Want to go ahead and mention that shooting this version from 2017 that we had, that similar kind of results. You want to improve, get some better sights, but like I said, the hold open was kind of an issue. So I'd probably be more inclined to want to carry this newer Parkerized version just because it has the drop safety. And you don't have to worry about a Parkerized finish getting banged up near as much as you might something that's all shiny and pretty like this 1947 model that we're looking at right now. I do like shooting this a little bit better than the other Colts that I've had, but I think Colt does a good job. Do they make them like they used to? You can decide. I don't think anybody makes their firearms with as much care as they used to, but I am a fan of the Colt 1911. There's other great ones, obviously, that are out there as well, and I hope you enjoyed my presentation today. This is Dr. Drake 63 saying thanks for watching, and we'll talk to you again real soon. Have a great day.